everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I will be doing this lab, creating a Kubernetes engine pipeline using Cloud Build. So there are 8 tasks in this particular lab. I will be explaining each and every steps which are followed as part of this lab. In this lab, we will be creating a CI/CD pipeline, which is nothing but continuous integration and continuous deployment, which will automatically build a container image from the committed code. Later, we will store this image in the artifact registry. And then we will make a update to the Kubernetes manifest file which is stored in the Git repository, and then we will deploy this application to the Google Kubernetes Engine using that manifest file. So as part of this lab, we will be creating 2 repositories. One is the app repository which will contain the source code of the application. The second is the env repository which will contain the manifest for the Kubernetes deployment. Let's start the lab. First task is to initialize the lab. I'm in the Google Cloud Console. So let's activate the Cloud Shell. In task 1, we need to set the project ID and the project number. So we will be creating a environment variable and we'll also set the region. Let's copy this and execute in our Cloud Shell. Now the first task is complete. Next, we need to enable few APIs. So let's copy this and execute it. By executing this command, we will be enabling all of the services in the project. So we can also enable these APIs from the console as well. Whatever we have executed, we have done it through the command line interface. Next, we will create an artifact registry. So using this command, we will create a new artifact repository in GCP. Here, artifacts repository create my-repository. This will create a new artifact repository by the name my-repository. You can customize the repository name as per your needs. Next is -repository format is equal to Docker. So this option will specify the format of the repository to be created. So in this case, it will be set to Docker, indicating that this repository will be used to store Docker container images. Next, we'll be specifying the location. -location is equal to $region. So this option sets the location for the artifact repository. As you remember, we have created an environment variable by the name region, and we have set it to US-central1. So it will be referring to that region. So by executing this command, we will be creating a new artifact repository in the location US-central1. And we'll make use of this repository to store and manage our Docker container images for our application. So let's copy this and execute it here. Now it has created the repository by the name my-repository. Let's go back. Next, we will create a GKE cluster to deploy the sample application of this lab. So let's copy this. So I will explain this command as well. So this command will create a new Kubernetes engine cluster in GCP using the command line tool. So container clusters create hello-cloud build. So this part of the command specifies the action to create a new cluster with a name hello-cloud build. So you can customize this. You can provide the name as per your requirement. -num-nodes 1. So this option will set the number of nodes in your GKE cluster to 1. So nodes are nothing but virtual machines that run the containerized workloads within the cluster. So in this case, we'll be creating only one node for the cluster. Then -region followed by $region. So here we will be specifying the region where this GKE cluster should be created. So in our case, the region is US-central1. So by executing this command, we'll be creating a new JKE cluster, which is nothing but Kubernetes cluster called hello-cloud build with a single node in US-central1 region. So let's execute this command. Now the cluster creation is complete. As you can see, the cluster got created with the name hello-cloud build in the location US-central1. Here you can see the machine type, number of nodes it has created, and the status of this. Let's move ahead. If you have never used Git in a Cloud Shell, then you need to configure this settings. Git config -global user.email. You have to provide your email address here. It can be like your Gmail address. Next, you need to configure your username. Git config -global user.name and your name. So this is required. So whenever you do a code commit, it will track the changes, like who has committed the code. So this is very much required. Copy this here. Remove this you at example.com and provide your valid Gmail ID. So I have set my user email ID. Next, copy this and set your username. Provide a valid name here. Now I have set the git configs here. Let's move ahead. Click on check my progress. It should be complete. We have created the artifact registry. We have enabled the API services and also created the cluster. So we have completed all these activities. Next, we will move on to task 2. We'll create a git repository in cloud source repository. So we'll be creating 2 repositories here. So this command gcloud source repos, this create option will create a repository. Hello-cloud build-app is the name which we are providing to this repository. So this is a format you have to follow when you have to create a cloud source repository. So let's copy this. You can ignore this warning. Now the repository is created. We'll be creating one more repository by the name hello-cloud build-env. Copy this and execute it here. It has created one more repository. Now let's clone the sample code from GitHub. We'll change the directory. Let's copy this and execute here. So this git clone https this URL. So whatever URL we have specified, what it does is it will clone the repository from this GitHub URL into the local directory. Let's execute this. It has downloaded the sample code from the GitHub repository. This is hello-cloud build-app is the one. So let's move on. Next, we need to configure the cloud source repositories as the remote. So let's cd to that. So if I run pwd, it will show the present working directory. So where I am currently. So let's execute this. I'm still in the home directory. I'm not inside the repository which I have cloned. So let's cd to that. So I'll execute cd followed by this name. We need to execute this. I will clear this screen. And let's execute this command. Next, we will be executing this command. So copy this command. Let's execute this command. Now it has added the remote. So if you want to check if it has added the remote URL, you can run. So by executing this command, it will list all the remote URLs which has been configured for this local git repository. So I am inside this local git repository, this hello-cloud build-app, and I am establishing a remote connection with the remote repository. So this is a remote URL which we had set. Let's move ahead. So whatever code we have cloned, it contains a hello world application. So let's click on check my progress. So that should be complete now. We have created a git repository and we have added the remote origin for that. Let's move ahead with the task 3. We will be creating a container image with a cloud build. The code you cloned already contains the following Docker file. So let's check this Docker file. Let's ls. Let's cat this Docker file. So this Docker file contains the following configuration. So with this Docker file, you can create a container image with a cloud build and store it in an artifact registry. So the first command from Python. So this specific line specifies the base image for the Docker image being built. So in this case, this uses the Python 3.7 slim image as the base. So this is a slim version of the image and it contains only minimal set of packages to run the Python application. It will be smaller in size. Next is run pip install flask. So this run instruction is used to execute a command during the image build process. Here it will install the Flask package using the pip. The pip is nothing but the Python package manager. Flask is very popular web framework which is used to build the web applications in Python. Next is work directory followed by /app. So this line will set the working directory within the Docker image to /app. So this directory will be used as the context for subsequent commands such as like copying the files or running the commands. Next is copy app.py followed by /app/app.py. So this specific line copies the file app.py from the local file system. That is the directory where this Docker file resides to the /app directory inside the Docker image. Please note that this app.py file should be present in the same directory as the Docker file. Next is entry point. This line sets the entry point for the Docker image. So this specifies that the default command to be executed when the Docker container is run is the Python interpreter. Next is cmd. So this line provides the default arguments to the entry point command. So here we are specifying that app.py file located at /app.py should be passed as an argument to the Python interpreter. So using this Docker file, we'll be building an image based on the Python 3.7 slim image Install the Flask, set the working directory, and copy the app.py file into the image and set the entry point to Python and specify that the app.py file should be executed when the container starts. This app.py file contains the main code for a Flask web application. So let's move on. So next we need to create a cloud build based on the latest commit with the following command. So let's copy this here cd. So we are changing the directory. Copy this command and execute it here. So before executing this command, let me explain this commit-id, what it does. So this given command, it will retrieve the commit id of the git repositories head. So which is the latest commit. So commit-id is the variable that will store the commit id. Executing this command, we are calling the commit id of the current head and we will be storing this commit id in the variable called commit-id. Now let's move on and execute this command gcloud builds. So before executing this command, I will explain what it does. Gcloud build submit, this is the command which is used to submit a build to Google Cloud Build. Here we are specifying hyphen tag is equal to $region hyphen docker. So this specifies the tag for the image being built and uploaded to the container registry. It is using several variables here. So the first one is the $region. So it will set the desired region. Like we have already set the region to US hyphen central one. So it will be setting the region to that. Next is docker.pkg.dev. So this is a domain used for the Google Cloud Artifact Registry. Next is a project underscore ID. So this is also an variable which contains the project ID. My repository slash lo cloud build. So this is a path to the repository and the name of the image being built. So the repository name and the image name can be customized as per your needs. Commit underscore id is a variable which represents the commit id. Dot indicates the current directory. So we want the build process to get executed in the current directory. That's why we are specifying here as dot. By executing this command, we are submitting a build request to Google Cloud Build. So this build process will create an image using the contents of the current directory, and this build image will be uploaded to the specified container registry. So here we will be making use of Google Cloud's artifact registry. So we have already created an artifact registry, so we'll be making use of that. So let's execute this. Now it's complete. So let's move ahead. Now the build is complete. So let's go to artifact registry and check for repositories. So under repository, the repository should be available. So you can click on artifact registry. Under repository, you can find there is a repository by the name my-repository. Let's click on this repository. It will have a Docker container now. So it is having this lo-cloud build. This is the Docker container image and it is available inside a artifact registry. So let's click on this. It shows 2 minutes ago it was created. So you can view the details about this location and the image name. This all the details you can view here. And if there is any vulnerabilities with respect to this image, it will show all details here. You can see some vulnerabilities listed here. So you can take a look at this. So you can click on check my progress. Now it's complete. So let's move ahead with the task 4. Here we will be creating the continuous integration pipeline. Here we will be configuring the cloud build to automatically run unit test cases, build a container image and then push it to the artifact registry. Whenever a new commit is made to the cloud source repository, automatically it will trigger a pipeline. They have already provided us with a cloud build.yaml file here. So let's create a trigger. To do that, let's go back to a navigation menu or you can search here only. I'm in the cloud build page. Here you can find the triggers section. Click on triggers. Here we will be creating a trigger. Click on create trigger. So name, we will provide the name which is mentioned in this lab. In the name field, you copy this lo-cloud build. Paste here. Next under event, select push to a branch. Region, it will be a global. So under event, it's already selected to push to a branch. So under source, so there are 2 repository here. We will be selecting the first one. Under branch, type this, it indicates any branch. Scroll down under build configuration. So under configuration, select cloud build configuration file. So we will be making use of this file to trigger this pipeline. So location will be repository and under cloud build configuration file location, you have to specify the file name. You can leave other fields as is. Click on create. So we have created the trigger. So let's trigger this by running this following command. So copy this and go back to your cloud shell. I'm in my cloud shell. I'll be executing this. Then we'll execute git push. So whenever there is a push made to the git repository, it will trigger that pipeline. Now we have made a push to the repository. So let's see. In a cloud build dashboard, a pipeline should be triggered. So now it's running. As you can see, it's running a job here. So this is the latest build. So you can click on this to see the logs. We can see all the build logs here. So it's executing 3 steps here. It's building, testing and pushing the code. So you can see the log file here and execution details. You can click on check my progress. Now the task 4 is complete. Let's move on with the task 5. Here we will be creating a test environment and CD pipeline. Cloud build is also used for continuous delivery pipeline. So let's start with this task. So to deploy the application Kubernetes cluster, Cloud build needs the Kubernetes Engine developer identity and access management role. So in Cloud Shell, we need to execute this following command. Copy this and execute it here. Next, copy this. So let's execute this command. Now it's complete. So we need to initialize the lo-cloud-build-env repository with 2 branches. One will be the production and another will be the candidate. And also a cloud build configuration file describing the deployment process. So the first step will be to clone the lo-cloud-build-env repository and create the production branch. So in the cloud shell, execute this command. So you can see the present working directory. I'm in the home directory now. Copy this command. Execute it here. Now it's done. Let's go back. Copy this command. We're changing the directory to lo-cloud build-env. Now we are inside that. Let's check out the production branch. So copy this and execute it here. So git checkout-b production. This will check out the branch production. We are inside this lo-cloud build-env git repository and we have switched to the production branch. Next we need to copy the cloud build-delivery.yaml file, which is available in the lo-cloud-build-app repository. So this is another repository. So from this repository, we'll be copying this YAML file to our -env repository. So copy this command. So this CP copies the file. This is the source path and this is the destination path. From lo-cloud-build-app, we are copying cloud-build-delivery.yaml file to this repository. Let's do the git status. When I execute this git status, there is one file name, cloudbuild.yaml. Now we will execute this command git add dot followed by dot. Now again, if you run the command git status, this will show a new file by name cloudbuild.yaml. Okay, let me clear the screen. If I execute git status, it will show there is a new file which needs to be committed. We will commit this. So copy this command and execute here. So git commit -m. -m is a message which we are giving for this commit. So now it's committed. Again, if you run git status, it will show the status of this file. On branch production, we have already made the commit. So this cloud build-delivery.yaml file, it contains the deployment process that needs to be run in the cloud build. So this YAML file contains 2 steps. One is cloud build, which will apply the manifest on the JKE cluster, and if it is successful, then cloud build will copy the manifest onto the production branch. So next we will create a candidate branch and push both branches for them to be available in the cloud source repository. So let's copy this git checkout-b candidate. So we'll be creating a candidate branch here. So let's execute this. So now we have switched to a new branch name, candidate. Now let's push the changes to production in the candidate branch. So let's execute this command git push origin production. So once this is done, execute this git push origin candidate. Candidate is another branch. Okay, now it is also pushed. Push is successful. Next, we will grant the source repository writer IAM role to the cloud build service account for the lo-cloud-build-env repository. So let's copy this command and Now let's copy this command. Now let's move ahead and create a trigger for the continuous delivery pipeline. The process is same. We have to go to cloud build and click on trigger. Here click on create trigger. Here we will be naming it as hello-cloud build deploy. So this is the second trigger which we are creating for the deploy. Under event it should be push to a branch. Under repository you need to select the second one now, and a branch. Here you can see there are two branches. We have created two branches, right? Production and candidate. You can see that. So we will be creating a trigger for candidate. So we'll select that. So the configuration, select cloud build configuration file. Cloud build configuration file, it will be the cloud build.yaml file. So next click on create. Now the trigger is created. So let's go back. Now we need to modify the continuous integration pipeline to trigger the continuous delivery pipeline. So let's copy this command. We are changing the directory to hello-cloud-build-app. So this is a repository. So we have changed from -env to -app. Okay. Now here we'll be copying. So this cloud build trigger -cd.yaml is an extended version of the cloud build.yaml file. This will add the steps like they will generate the new Kubernetes manifest and trigger the continuous delivery pipeline. Let's commit the changes. So execute this git add, then commit git commit -m. So commit is done. Next we will push this by executing git push Google master to master branch. We are pushing it. Push is complete. So you can now click on check my progress. So assessment is complete. Now let's move on with the tasks. We need to review the cloud build pipeline. You need to go to dashboard, cloud build dashboard, and you can see there are two triggers which got executed for each of this repository. So one is successful. So this is a previously we have executed this trigger, and to view the build logs for this specific trigger, you can click on this build history and view the logs. So this is specific to this repository. So this is the delivery pipeline trigger which we have created just now. So you can click on that to view the complete details about it, like all, like if you want to see the execution details you can see it. You can expand this as well. All the steps, detailed step you can see under the build log. Under build history you can find the details about all the builds which got executed. Clicking on each of this build will give you more details about it. And the trigger name, like we have created two trigger, right? hello-cloud build and hello-cloud build deploy. So for hello-cloud build, two build job got executed. For hello-cloud build deploy, only one job we have executed it. Now let's move ahead and perform task 7, test the complete pipeline. Cloud console, we need to go to Kubernetes Engine services and ingress. Here under services and ingress, under services and ingress you can see one services by the name hello-cloud build. So it is having an endpoint. So let's click on this endpoint. So now it is displaying hello world. So this is a hello world application which we have deployed some time back. Cloud shell, let's replace this hello world with the hello cloud build. So let's copy this and go to cloud shell. And we will execute this command. Now we will commit and push this change to the cloud source repository. So let's copy this and execute it here. Let's push these changes to the remote repository. So this will trigger the full CI/CD pipeline. Okay, now the build is successful. So let's go back to our Kubernetes page here. Let's click on this endpoint. Now we can see the message is changed to hello cloud build. Now let's test the rollback. So under cloud build, you have to go to cloud build-env. Under build history for this hello-cloud build-env, we will take the second one. Here you need to click on rebuild. Now the build is successful. So let's refresh this page. Now you can see it got changed to hello world. So now the rollback is successful. So that's it for today's lab. We have successfully created a CI/CD pipeline and executed it using a cloud build. I hope you found this video helpful. Please like and subscribe to my channel to stay up to date with the latest cloud contents on this channel. Thank you all for watching. See you in the next video.